Have a wonderful day. Enjoy the story. The crisp October wind whipped through Chicago's Loop as Amara Thompson hurried through the crowded train station, her designer heels clicking against the polished floor. She was running late for a crucial property showing, and her perfectly arranged box braids swayed with each determined step. The scent of her Chanel Coco Mademoiselle lingered in her wake, a sophisticated armor she wore like a second skin. Last call for the Brown Line. The announcement echoed through the station as Amara weaved through the sea of commuters, pulling her sleek black carry-on behind her. She had just returned from a real estate conference in Detroit, and her mind was already racing with potential client meetings for the week ahead. The train doors were closing when she made it, squeezing through at the last possible moment. Her carry-on barely made it inside, and she let out a relieved sigh, adjusting her tailored blazer. An elderly woman smiled at her, offering a nearby seat. "Thank you," Amara said, settling down and checking her phone. 3 missed calls from her assistant, and a text about the clients arriving early at the penthouse she was supposed to show. Perfect. The train rattled along the elevated tracks, offering glimpses of Chicago's magnificent skyline. Amara allowed herself a moment to admire the view, remembering how she'd fallen in love with this city 5 years ago when she'd left Atlanta behind. The memory of her mother's voice echoed in her mind. "Baby girl, sometimes you have to leave what's comfortable to find what's meant for you." Those words had carried her through countless challenges, including the darkness of her relationship with Julian Hayes. She pushed the thought away, refusing to let those memories surface. She was different now, stronger, wiser, successful. Her phone buzzed again. The clients were already at the property. Amara took a deep breath, mentally reviewing her presentation for the $4. $2 million penthouse. This could be the commission that finally put her closer to opening her own agency. When the train reached her stop, Amara rushed out, maneuvering through the crowd with practiced ease. It wasn't until she reached street level that she noticed something off about her carry-on. The handle felt different, slightly looser than she remembered. "No time," she muttered, hailing a cab. The showing came first. She could worry about her luggage later. The next few hours were a whirlwind of negotiations and property tours. Amara was in her element, highlighting the penthouse's state-of-the-art features and breathtaking views of Lake Michigan. By the time she finished, she had a verbal commitment from the buyers and a spring in her step. It wasn't until she finally made it home to her downtown apartment that the earlier niggling feeling about her luggage returned. Standing in her living room, with Lauryn Hill's Empire State of Mind playing softly in the background, Amara examined the carry-on more closely. Her heart stopped. This wasn't her bag. The sleek black exterior looked similar, but the brand was different. This was a Rimowa, far more expensive than her own luggage. With trembling fingers, she unzipped the bag, already knowing she'd find someone else's belongings inside. The first thing that hit her was the scent, a rich, woody fragrance that made her pause. Tom Ford Oud Wood, the label on the bottle read. Beneath it lay an impeccably folded charcoal gray suit that probably cost more than her monthly rent. But it was the leather-bound journal tucked in the side pocket that caught her attention. Amara knew she shouldn't look. Her mother had raised her better than that. But as she lifted the journal, a business card slipped out, landing face up on her hardwood floor. Declan Voss, CEO, Voss Tech Innovations. Her breath caught as she recognized the name. Everyone in Chicago's business world knew about Declan Voss, the self-made tech mogul who'd refused to ride his father's coattails and instead built his own empire from scratch. His company was valued at billions, and he was notorious for being as private as he was successful. And she had his luggage, which meant he had hers, including her laptop with all her client information and the presentation she'd been working on for months, her detailed business plan for opening her own agency. "Keep it together, Amara," she whispered to herself, reaching for her phone. Her fingers hovered over the number on the business card as doubt crept in. Would someone like Declan Voss even answer a call from an unknown number? Before she could talk herself out of it, she pressed dial. The phone rang once, twice, 3 times. She was about to hang up when a deep, authoritative voice answered. Voss speaking. The richness of his voice caught her off guard. "Mr. Voss, my name is Amara Thompson. I believe I accidentally took your luggage from the train station this morning." There was a pause, followed by what sounded like papers being shuffled. "Miss Thompson, I was wondering when I'd hear from you." Something in his tone made her spine tingle. "I'm so sorry about the mix-up. I can bring your bag to your office first thing tomorrow morning." "That won't be necessary," he replied, his voice carrying an edge of authority that probably served him well in boardrooms. "I'm still at the office. I can have my driver pick it up now." Amara glanced at her watch. 9:45 p.m. "You're still working?" A soft chuckle came through the line, surprising her. "Some of us don't know when to quit. Besides, I believe you have something in that bag that I need rather urgently." The journal. Her eyes drifted to it, wondering what secrets it held. "Of course, but I'd prefer to deliver it personally if you don't mind. After all, you have my belongings as well." Another pause. Longer this time. She could almost feel him weighing his options. "Very well, Miss Thompson. Do you know where Vostek's headquarters are?" "The glass tower on Wacker Drive, it's hard to miss." "Indeed. I'll have security expect you. 30th floor." The call ended abruptly, leaving Amara staring at her phone. She looked down at her casual clothes she'd changed after the showing and knew they wouldn't do. Not for meeting Declan Voss. 20 minutes later, she stood in front of her mirror, having changed into a burgundy wrap dress that hugged her curves while maintaining professional elegance. She'd touched up her makeup, adding a subtle shimmer to her warm brown skin, and made sure her braids were perfectly arranged. As she gathered his luggage and her confidence, Amara couldn't shake the feeling that this wasn't just about a switched bag. Something about his voice, the late-night meeting, the mysterious journal, it all felt like the beginning of something bigger. The Uber ride to Vostek was quick at this hour. The building loomed ahead, its glass facade reflecting the city lights like stars. As promised, security was expecting her, and soon she was in an elevator, heading to the 30th floor. The doors opened to reveal a stunning office space, all clean lines, glass, and modern art. A sleek desk stood empty, its occupant presumably gone for the day, but light spilled from an office at the end of the hall, and Amara could make out a silhouette against the floor-to-ceiling windows. Taking a deep breath, she walked toward it, her heels silent against the plush carpet. She was used to dealing with powerful people, used to holding her own in high-stakes situations, but something told her that meeting Declan Voss would be different. She knocked on the glass door, and a deep voice called out, "Come in, Miss Thompson." The man who turned to face her was nothing like the photos she'd seen in business magazines. Those hadn't captured the intensity of his blue-gray eyes, the commanding presence that seemed to fill the room, or the way his precisely trimmed beard framed a jaw that could cut glass. Declan Voss stood at least 6, his broad shoulders wrapped in a bespoke suit that probably cost more than her car. His clean-shaven head gleamed under the office lights, and those piercing eyes studied her with an intensity that made her pulse quicken. "Miss Thompson," he said, his voice even richer in person, "welcome to Voss Tech." And in that moment, standing in his office with the Chicago skyline glittering behind him, Amara knew with absolute certainty that her life was about to change forever. The silence in Declan Voss's office felt electric. Amara stood her ground as his calculating gaze swept over her, taking in everything from her burgundy wrap dress to her confident posture. The sophisticated scent of her Chanel perfume mingled with his Tom Ford oud wood, creating an intoxicating atmosphere in the spacious office. "Your bag, Mr. Voss," she said, breaking the tension. She wheeled the Rimowa carry-on forward, her movements graceful and purposeful. Declan circled his massive desk, his steps measured and deliberate. "Please, call me Declan." He gestured to one of the sleek leather chairs facing his desk. "Have a seat, Miss Thompson. I believe we have some belongings to exchange." "Amara," she corrected, settling into the offered chair. Her heart raced as she watched him retrieve her carry-on from a corner of his office. "I hope nothing in my bag caused you too much inconvenience." A ghost of a smile played at his lips. "On the contrary, your business plan for Thompson Realty Enterprises made for interesting reading." Amara's breath caught. He'd read her private documents. "I wasn't aware my personal files were up for review, Mr. Voss." "Declan," he reminded her, his blue-gray eyes holding a hint of amusement. "And I apologize for the invasion of privacy. When I discovered the switch, I was looking for identification." He paused, studying her with renewed interest. "Your market analysis is impressive. You've identified a significant gap in Chicago's luxury real estate sector." She straightened in her chair, professional pride overriding her initial discomfort. "The high-end market lacks personalized service that caters to diverse clientele. My approach combines traditional luxury service with modern, inclusive marketing strategies." "It's innovative," he finished. though your financial projections could use some refinement." Amara felt her defenses rise. "With all due respect, those projections are based on 5 years of industry experience and careful market research." Declan leaned back against his desk, loosening his tie slightly. The simple gesture somehow made him appear more dangerous, less the polished CEO, and more the predator underneath the expensive suit. "Experience is valuable, but sometimes an outside perspective can reveal blind spots." He reached for a tablet on his desk, tapping it a few times before turning it toward her. "For instance, have you considered the impact of rising interest rates on your target demographic?" Despite her irritation, Amara found herself leaning forward to examine his analysis. The numbers were compelling. She had to admit Declan had identified several factors she hadn't fully considered. "Your points are valid," she conceded, meeting his gaze. "But you're assuming my client base will be primarily dependent on traditional financing." A spark of genuine interest lit his eyes. "Go on." For the next 20 minutes, they engaged in an intense discussion about market trends and business strategies. Amara found herself both challenged and exhilarated by Declan's sharp insights, while he seemed increasingly intrigued by her innovative approaches. "You're not what I expected," Declan finally said, moving to the wet bar in the corner of his office. "Scotch?" "No, thank you." Amara watched as he poured himself 2 fingers of amber liquid. "And what exactly did you expect?" He turned, glass in hand, his expression thoughtful. "Someone who would be intimidated by this office, this building, this conversation." He took a sip, those magnetic eyes never leaving her face. "Instead, I find myself speaking with a woman who challenges my assumptions at every turn." Heat crawled up Amara's neck. "I stopped being intimidated by powerful men a long time ago, Declan. They usually have the most to prove." Something dark flickered across his features. "Speaking from experience, aren't we all?" She stood, smoothing her dress. "Thank you for the impromptu business consultation, but it's getting late." Declan set his glass down and moved closer, his presence filling her senses. "Have dinner with me." The sudden invitation caught her off guard. "Excuse me?" "Dinner, tomorrow night. I'd like to continue our discussion about your business plan." His voice was smooth, confident, but there was something else in his eyes, a hint of vulnerability that seemed at odds with his commanding presence. Warning bells rang in Amara's head. She'd sworn off mixing business with pleasure after Julian, and Declan Voss screamed danger in every possible way. "I appreciate the offer, but I know a place that serves the best coffee-flavored creme brulee in Chicago." The corner of his mouth lifted in a knowing smile. "I noticed the coffee cups in your bag. You seem to have a particular fondness for caramel-flavored ones." The observation startled a laugh from her. "Oh, you really did go through my things thoroughly, didn't you? I'm detail-oriented." He stepped closer, and Amara caught another wave of his intoxicating scent. "Say yes, Amara. Let me make up for invading your privacy by offering some valuable business insights over dinner." She should say no. Every logical part of her brain was screaming at her to decline, but there was something in the way he looked at her not as a conquest or a business opportunity, but as an equal. He genuinely wanted to know her better. "Just dinner," she said firmly, "and we stick to business discussion, of course." His smile widened slightly, and Amara's heart did a dangerous flip. "I'll send a car for you at 7. I can drive myself. I'm sure you can." Declan reached for a business card and wrote something on the back. "But humor me. This is my private number. Text me your address." As their fingers brushed during the exchange, an electric current seemed to pass between them. Amara quickly pulled her hand back, gathering her composure along with her carry-on. "Good night, Declan." "Good night, Amara." He watched her walk to the door before adding, "Oh, and Miss Thompson, that shade of burgundy suits you perfectly." The heat of his gaze followed her all the way to the elevator. Once inside, Amara leaned against the wall, her heart pounding. What had she just agreed to? Her phone buzzed a text from Sasha. "Girl, where are you? I've been trying to reach you for hours." Reality crashed back in. She'd completely forgotten about her planned dinner with her best friend. As the elevator descended, she quickly typed out a response, explaining the luggage switch and her impromptu meeting with Declan Voss. Sasha's response was immediate. "The Declan Voss? The tech genius billionaire, who looks like a Greek god? Please tell me you got his number." Amara smiled, looking at the card in her hand. "Actually, I'm coming over right now. You need the perfect outfit for tomorrow." "Sasha, it's just a business dinner." "Honey, when a man like Declan Voss asks you to dinner, it's never just business. I'll be there in 20 with wine and my entire accessories collection. Stepping out of the elevator into the quiet lobby, Amara caught her reflection in the polished marble walls. The woman staring back at her looked flushed, excited, alive in a way she hadn't been in years. Outside, Chicago's night air had turned crisp and cool as she waited for her Uber. Amara's mind wandered back to Declan's office, to the intensity in his eyes when he'd asked her to dinner. She touched the business card in her purse, his private number, burning a hole in her consciousness. Just business, she reminded herself firmly. But even as the thought formed, she knew it was a lie. The way Declan Voss looked at her, the electricity she felt in his presence, the underlying current of attraction that neither of them had acknowledged, none of that was just business. Her phone buzzed again. Another text from Sasha, BTW. I googled him. Did you know his ex-fiancée? He tried to sell company secrets? Major trust issues? This is going to be interesting. Amara's stomach tightened. Trust issues? She had enough of her own without taking on someone else's. Tomorrow's dinner was starting to feel less like an opportunity and more like a minefield. But as her Uber pulled up to the curb, she couldn't help remembering the vulnerability she'd glimpsed beneath Declan's powerful exterior. Maybe they were more alike than she wanted to admit, two successful people, hiding old wounds behind carefully constructed facades. The city lights blurred past her window as the car headed toward her apartment. Somewhere in that same city, in his glass tower office, Declan Voss was probably still working, still proving himself to the world, still waiting for her text with her address. Amara pulled out her phone, staring at the blank message screen. One text could change everything. The question was, did she want everything to change? Her fingers hovered over the keyboard as Chicago's skyline glittered around her, full of possibilities and promises and dangers she wasn't sure she was ready to face. Sasha's excitement had reached fever pitch as she held up another dress from Amara's closet. This is it, the perfect, business, but I could also rock your world outfit. The dress in question was a deep emerald silk number that draped perfectly while maintaining sophistication. Amara had to admit it, struck exactly the right balance she was looking for. It's not a date, she reminded her best friend for the 100th time, though her protest sounded weak even to her own ears. She'd spent the last hour getting ready, paying more attention to details than she typically did for actual dates. Sasha rolled her eyes, her vibrant yellow jumpsuit a stark contrast to her no-nonsense expression. Right, because all business meetings involve private numbers and car services. She adjusted one of Amara's braids, arranging it artfully over her shoulder. Did you do that background check? I sent you? Sasha, the man's worth billions. It's just good sense to know what you're walking into. Sasha perched on the edge of Amara's bed, her expression turning serious. After what happened with Julian, this is different, Amara interrupted, though her stomach clenched at the mention of her ex. Declan Voss isn't Julian, and this isn't even anything. It's a business dinner. Sasha's phone buzzed. She glanced at it and grinned. Well, your nothing business dinner is here. Black Mercedes Maybach downstairs. Very subtle. Amara's heart rate kicked up several notches as she took a final look in the mirror. The emerald dress was perfect, complementing her skin tone and fitting like it was made for her. She'd kept her makeup elegant but striking, with gold shimmer on her eyelids and a deep berry shade on her lips. Remember, Sasha called as Amara headed for the door. If he turns out to be crazy, text me the code word, pineapple. I know, Amara laughed, grabbing her clutch. I'll call you later. The elevator ride down felt longer than usual. When Amara stepped outside, she immediately spotted the Mercedes. The driver, an older gentleman in an impeccable uniform, opened the door with a warm smile. Good evening, Miss Thompson. I'm Henry. Mr. Voss is waiting at the restaurant. The drive through Chicago's glittering evening landscape was smooth and quick. They pulled up to a restored historic building in River North, its facade elegant and understated. Henry opened her door, and Amara's heart nearly stopped when she saw Declan waiting at the entrance. He wore a perfectly tailored navy suit that made his broad shoulders look even more impressive. His blue-gray eyes locked onto her the moment she stepped out of the car, and the intensity of his gaze made her breath catch. Amara, he moved forward to meet her, and she caught the now familiar scent of his cologne. You look stunning. Thank you, she managed, keeping her voice steady despite the way his presence seemed to fill all her senses. So, this place looks amazing. Wait until you see inside. He placed his hand lightly on the small of her back, guiding her through the entrance. The touch sent shivers up her spine. The restaurant's interior was a masterpiece of modern luxury mixed with historic charm. Exposed brick walls adorned with contemporary art, crystal chandeliers casting warm light over intimate tables. The maître d' led them to a private corner table, partially screened by elegant dividers. "I took the liberty of arranging a tasting menu," Declan said as they settled into their seats. "Unless you have any preferences. I trust your judgment." The words slipped out before she could catch them, and something flickered in Declan's eyes. "That's a dangerous statement, Amara." His voice was low, almost a purr. "Trust should be earned, don't you think?" She met his gaze steadily. "Is that what happened with your ex-fiancée? Did she earn your trust before betraying it?" Declan went still, his expression hardening for a moment. Amara thought she'd pushed too far. Then he reached for his water glass, his movements deliberate. "You've done your research. So have you. I saw how thoroughly you went through my business plan." A slight smile curved his lips. "Touché." He leaned back as the sommelier approached, with a bottle of wine. After the ritual of tasting and approval, Declan turned his attention back to Amara. "Yes, my ex-fiancée betrayed my trust. She sold proprietary information to our biggest competitor, cost us millions, and nearly derailed a major project." "I'm sorry," Amara said softly, recognizing the pain beneath his controlled exterior. "Don't be. It taught me a valuable lesson about keeping business and pleasure separate." His eyes bore into hers. "A lesson I seem to be ignoring tonight." Heat crept up Amara's neck. "If this is making you uncomfortable." "Quite the opposite." Declan leaned forward, his presence somehow more magnetic in the intimate lighting. "You intrigue me, Amara. Your business plan shows ambition and intelligence, but it's more than that. You have an authenticity that's rare in my world." The first course arrived, tiny works of art on delicate plates. Amara welcomed the distraction, needing a moment to collect herself. "What about you?" Declan asked as they sampled the exquisite food. "Any cautionary tales about mixing business and pleasure?" Amara's fork paused halfway to her mouth. "What makes you think I have a story?" "The way you tensed when I mentioned keeping things separate, the careful distance you maintain, despite our obvious attraction." His directness was disarming. Memories of Julian threatened to surface his charm, his manipulation, the way he'd systematically undermined her confidence while presenting himself as her biggest supporter. She took a sip of wine, forcing the thoughts away. "His name was Julian," she said finally. "He was a client who became more. By the time I realized he was manipulating me professionally and personally, he'd already done considerable damage to my reputation in Atlanta's real estate circle. It's part of why I moved to Chicago." Declan's expression darkened. "Did he face any consequences?" "Eventually. Some of his other victims came forward, and he lost his real estate license." Amara straightened her shoulders. "But I didn't let him break me. I rebuilt, stronger than before. And yet here you are, having dinner with another powerful man who could potentially affect your business future." Declan's voice was soft but intense. "Why take the risk?" The question hung between them, heavy with implication. Amara considered deflecting, but something in Declan's steady gaze demanded honesty. Because sometimes the biggest risks lead to the greatest rewards. She met his eyes directly. "Because you don't look at me like I'm something to be conquered. You look at me like I'm something to be understood." The air between them crackled with tension. Declan's hand moved across the table, his fingers brushing hers in a touch that felt more intimate than a kiss. "Understanding can be more dangerous than conquest," he murmured. Before Amara could respond, a commotion near the restaurant's entrance drew their attention. Her blood ran cold as a familiar figure argued with the maître d'. Julian Hayes stood in the entrance, his handsome face set in the charming smile she remembered all too well. Her ex-boyfriend was dressed impeccably, every bit the successful realtor he portrayed himself as. "Is that him?" Declan's voice had taken on a dangerous edge. Amara nodded, her appetite vanishing. "He's supposed to be in Atlanta." "I don't understand," Mr. Hayes, the maître d' was saying. "I'm afraid we cannot seat you without a reservation." "I just need a moment with Miss Thompson," Julian replied smoothly. "Amara, what a surprise seeing you here." Declan started to rise, but Amara placed her hand on his arm. "Don't. He's not worth it." "Amara, baby," Julian called out, ignoring the staff trying to contain him. "We need to talk. I've changed. I've gotten help." Other diners were starting to stare. Amara felt the familiar panic rising. The same feeling she'd had whenever Julian would make a scene to manipulate her into doing what he wanted. But this time was different. This time, she wasn't alone. Declan's hand covered hers where it still rested on his arm, his touch steady, grounding. "What do you want to do?" he asked quietly. The question surprised her. Julian had never asked what she wanted. He'd always told her what she needed. Drawing strength from Declan's presence, Amara stood. "I'll handle this." She walked toward the entrance, aware of Declan's protective gaze following her. Julian's face lit up as she approached, but she stopped well out of his reach. "Whatever game you're playing, Julian, it stops now." Her voice was firm, carrying none of the tremors she felt inside. "I don't know how you found me, and I don't care. Stay away from me. Amara, please." He stepped forward, reaching for her. "You know we were good together. I just lost my way for a while." "Security." Declan's deep voice came from right behind her. "Please escort Mr. Hayes out and ensure he understands that he's permanently banned from this establishment." Two large men in suits materialized, firmly guiding Julian toward the door despite his protests. Just before they let him out, he called back, "This isn't over, Amara. We have unfinished business." The threat in his voice made her shiver, but Declan's warm hand on her back steadied her. She turned to face him, expecting to see pity or judgment in his eyes. Instead, she found understanding, and barely contained anger, not at her, but for her. "I'm sorry," she said softly. "This isn't exactly how I planned our business dinner to go." Declan's lips curved slightly. "I think we both know this stopped being about business. The moment you walked into my office last night." He guided her back to their table, his touch protective, but not possessive. "Now, shall we order that coffee-flavored creme brulee I promised you? And perhaps you can tell me more about this unfinished business with Mr. Hayes. I have a feeling it might become relevant." As they settled back into their seats, Amara realized two things. First, Declan Voss was nothing like what she'd expected. He was both more dangerous and more trustworthy than she'd imagined. And second, despite her best intentions to keep this professional, she was already falling for him. The question was, with both their pasts casting long shadows and Julian's unexpected return, could either of them risk opening their hearts again? The morning after her dinner with Declan, Amara sat in her favorite coffee shop, staring at her laptop screen without really seeing it. The caramel coffee beside her had gone cold, forgotten in the whirlwind of her thoughts. Her phone buzzed another text from Sasha. "You can't hide in that coffee shop forever. Call me." She'd been avoiding her best friend's calls since leaving the restaurant last night. How could she explain what had happened when she barely understood it herself? The way Declan had handled Julian's appearance protective, but not controlling, letting her take the lead while standing ready to support her. Another message popped up, this one from Declan, thinking about last night. "Can we talk?" Her heart skipped. After Julian's dramatic exit, they'd shared that promised creme brulee, their conversation turning from business to more personal matters. Declan had opened up about his childhood, growing up in his father's shadow, and his determination to build something of his own. She'd found herself sharing stories about her family in Atlanta, her mother's wisdom, her dreams of changing the real estate industry. The evening had ended with Declan insisting on having Henry drive her home. At her door, he'd looked at her with those intense blue-gray eyes and said, "I want to see you again, Amara. Not for business, just you." She'd been about to answer when her neighbor's door opened, breaking the moment. Now, 12 hours later, she still hadn't given him a response. "Miss Thompson?" A barista approached her table, looking nervous. "There's someone asking for you at the counter." Amara's blood ran cold, expecting to see Julian. Instead, she found Sasha waiting, hands on her hips. "Girl, I swear," Sasha said, sliding into the seat across from her. "I had to track your location on our sharing app because you're ghosting me. Now spill everything." "Sasha, I'm working. On what?" "That empty document you've been staring at for the past hour?" Sasha reached over and closed Amara's laptop. "Talk to me. What happened after Julian showed up?" Amara sighed, finally taking a sip of her cold coffee. It was intense. Declan was. He was perfect. Sasha not aggressive, not possessive, just supportive. Sasha's eyes sparkled. "And after?" "We really talked." Amara found herself smiling despite her concerns. "He's nothing like I expected. Behind all that power and success, there's this vulnerability, this need to prove himself. Sounds familiar, Sasha said softly. You've got that same drive. That's what scares me. We're both so focused on our careers, both carrying so much baggage. Amara's phone buzzed again with another message from Declan. And now, Julian's back in the picture. Sasha's expression hardened. About that, I did some digging. Julian's real estate license in Georgia wasn't just suspended, it was revoked. And he's had 3 restraining orders filed against him by different women. Amara's stomach churned. Why is he here? The better question is, why are you letting him affect your chances with Declan? Sasha leaned forward. You like him. He clearly likes you. Don't let Julian's ghost ruin this before it begins. Before Amara could respond, the coffee shop's door chimed. Her heart nearly stopped as Declan walked in, looking devastating in a charcoal suit that emphasized his athletic build. His eyes found her immediately. Sasha stood, gathering her things with a knowing smile. That's my cue. Text me later with details. She brushed past Declan on her way out, whispering something that made him raise an eyebrow. Then he was moving toward Amara's table, his presence drawing admiring glances from other patrons. I hope I'm not interrupting, he said, taking Sasha's vacated seat. How did you know I was here? A slight smile curved his lips. I may have asked Henry to keep an eye on you after last night, given Julian's appearance. I was concerned. She should have been angry at the surveillance, but his honesty and obvious worry touched her. I can take care of myself, Declan. I know you can. He reached across the table, his fingers brushing hers. But you don't have to do it alone anymore. The simple touch sent electricity through her veins. What are we doing, Declan? Right now, I'm about to buy you a fresh caramel coffee, since that one's clearly cold. His eyes held hers. After that, I'd like to show you something. No business talk, no pressure, just us getting to know each other. I have a showing at 2. Cancel it. His voice was soft but intense. Take a risk with me, Amara. She thought about Sasha's words, about letting fear hold her back. Looking into Declan's eyes, she made her decision. Okay, show me. An hour later, they were in his car, not the usual Mercedes, but a sleek Aston Martin he drove himself. They left the city behind, heading north along Lake Michigan. Amara watched him as he drove, admiring his strong profile and the confident way he handled the powerful car. Where are we going? Somewhere I've never taken anyone else. He glanced at her, something vulnerable in his expression. Somewhere I go to think. They pulled up to a beautiful modernist house, perched on a bluff, overlooking the lake. Floor-to-ceiling windows reflected the water, and a wraparound deck offered stunning views of the coastline. This isn't in any real estate listings, Amara said as they parked. Trust me, I'd know, because it's not for sale. Declan led her to the front door, unlocking it with a keypad code. I built it 2 years ago. No one knows about it except my contractor and now you. The interior was a masterpiece of minimalist design, open spaces, clean lines, and carefully chosen art pieces. But what caught Amara's attention were the personal touches, a well-worn leather armchair, books scattered on coffee tables, a kitchen that showed signs of actual use. This is the real you, she realized, not the CEO in the glass tower. Declan moved behind her, close enough that she could feel his warmth. You see me, don't you? Beyond the headlines and the corporate image. She turned to face him, their bodies inches apart. Like you see boyfriend saw me and screamed at me in my ear. She turned to face him, their bodies inches apart. Like you see me beyond the polished real estate agent, beyond the careful facades. His hand came up to cup her cheek, thumb brushing her skin. Amara. The moment was shattered by both their phones buzzing simultaneously. Amara checked hers first, her face paling. It was a link to a business gossip blog with a headline that made her stomach drop. Tech billionaire. Declan Voss's new romance. The truth behind his dinner date's troubled past. The article featured a photo of them at the restaurant, followed by detailed allegations about her history with Julian, most of them twisted or outright false. But the damage was already being done. The comment section was filling with speculation about her motives, suggesting she was after Declan's money, or trying to manipulate him like his ex-fiancé had. Declan. She looked up to find him on his phone, his expression thunderous. It's already reaching the major business sites, he said, his voice tight with anger. My PR team is trying to contain it, but the damage is done. Amara stepped back, wrapping her arms around herself. This could hurt your company's image, and it's definitely going to impact my business. Who's going to trust a real estate agent with this kind of publicity? We can fight this, Declan moved toward her, but she held up a hand. Can we? Everything they're saying about Julian, about our past, it's twisted, but there's just enough truth to make it believable. And now it looks like I'm following the same pattern with you. I don't care what it looks like. But you should. Amara's voice cracked. Your board, your investors, your clients, they'll all care. And my potential clients will see this and run the other way. Everything I've worked for... Declan's phone rang, his PR team probably with more bad news. Amara used the distraction to move toward the door. I need some time to think, she said softly, to figure out how to handle this. Amara, wait, please. She met his eyes, seeing the conflict there. Just give me some space. She made it outside before the tears started, calling an Uber with shaking fingers. As she waited, she could see Declan through the windows, pacing as he talked on the phone. He looked frustrated, powerful, and somehow lost all at once. Her phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. Hope you enjoyed your moment in the spotlight. Consider it a warning. Stay away from Declan, a friend. Amara's hands trembled as she deleted the message. She knew that tone, that subtle threat wrapped in false concern. Somewhere in Chicago, Julian was watching, plotting, trying to destroy her life again. But this time, he wasn't just hurting her. He was threatening everything Declan had built. And that, she realized with a sinking heart, was something she couldn't allow. As her Uber arrived, Amara took one last look at the house on the bluff, at the man who had started to break down her walls. Sometimes love meant being strong enough to walk away. She just hadn't expected it to hurt quite this much. A week after the media scandal broke, Amara sat in her office, staring at her third canceled client meeting of the day. The rain outside matched her mood, drumming against the windows of her high-rise office as Chicago disappeared behind sheets of gray. Her phone lit up with Sasha's face for the 10th time that morning. This time, she answered. Before you start, Amara said. I'm fine. Liar. Sasha's voice was sharp with concern. I just watched you lose the Peterson listing. That's $1 million commission down the drain. Amara pinched the bridge of her nose. How did you? Because I actually answer my phone when people call. Miss S. Peterson called me. Worried about you. She saw the articles, Amara. Everyone has. The articles had gotten worse over the past week, each one more sensational than the last. Julian had given interviews, painting himself as the concerned ex-boyfriend, worried about history repeating itself. The business world was buzzing with speculation about Declan's judgment, questioning if he was following in his father's footsteps of making impulsive decisions. Have you talked to him? Sasha asked softly. Amara's eyes drifted to her laptop, where Declan's latest email sat unanswered. He'd sent one every day since she'd left him at the lake house, each one more personal than the last, each one harder to ignore. It's better this way, she said, more to convince herself than Sasha. His company stock dropped 3 points after the first article. His board is questioning his judgment. I won't be the reason his empire crumbles. So you're just going to let Julian win again? The words stung. I'm protecting Declan. No, you're running scared. And from what I hear, Declan isn't handling it much better. Amara's heart clenched. What do you mean? Check your email, the business news one. With trembling fingers, Amara opened her business newsletter. The headline made her stomach drop. Boss Tech CEOs. Erratic behavior raises concerns. Sources reported late-night office hours and aggressive business moves. The article detailed Declan's recent behavior working through the night, pushing through aggressive acquisitions, showing up to meetings, looking exhausted and on edge. The photo accompanying the piece showed him leaving his office, his usual impeccable appearance slightly disheveled, his expression hard and distant. He's self-destructing, Sasha said quietly. Just like you. Before Amara could respond, her office door opened. Her assistant, looking nervous, stepped in. Miss Thompson, there's someone here to see you. She's quite insistent. A tall, elegant woman in her 50s swept into the office, her designer suit and perfectly coiffed silver hair radiating authority. Amara recognized her immediately from news photos. Eleanor Voss, Declan's mother. I'll call you back, Amara told Sasha, standing quickly. Miss S. Thompson. Eleanor's voice was cool but not unkind. We need to talk. After her assistant closed the door, Eleanor surveyed the office with practiced eyes. Impressive space. You've built quite a reputation for yourself here in Chicago. Had built, Amara corrected softly. Past tense. Yes, well, that's partly why I'm here. Eleanor sat gracefully in one of the visitor chairs. "My son is being difficult about this situation." Amara's defenses rose. "If you're here to warn me away, on the contrary." Eleanor's expression softened slightly. "I'm here because in 32 years, I've never seen my son like this over a woman. Not even his ex-fiancée affected him this deeply." The words hung in the air between them. Amara sank back into her chair, unsure how to respond. "Declan's father was like him," Eleanor continued. "Brilliant, driven, sometimes blind to the manipulation of others. When that woman betrayed Declan's trust, sold his company secrets, I thought he'd never open his heart again." She fixed Amara with a penetrating stare. "And then he met you, Miss S. Voss, Eleanor, please." She reached into her designer bag, pulling out a file. "I had my people look into your situation with Julian Hayes. The real story, not the sanitized version he's feeding the press." Amara's hands trembled as she accepted the file. Inside were police reports, court documents, testimonies from other women, the full extent of Julian's manipulation and abuse laid bare. "Why are you showing me this?" "Because my son needs someone who runs toward trouble to protect others, not away from it." Eleanor stood, smoothing her skirt. "The board meeting is tomorrow at noon. They're voting on whether to force Declan to step down temporarily, citing emotional instability." Amara's heart stopped. "They can't. They can. And they will unless someone presents evidence that the media storm is based on lies." Eleanor moved to the door, then paused. "The question is, Miss Thompson, are you willing to fight for him as hard as he's been fighting for you?" After Eleanor left, Amara sat in silence, staring at the file. Her phone buzzed another email from Declan. "I don't care about the company. I don't care about the board. I care about you. Please, Amara, let me in." With shaking fingers, she opened her contact list, scrolling to a number she'd hoped never to use again. The phone rang twice before a smooth voice answered. "I knew you'd call eventually, baby." Amara's spine stiffened at Julian's tone. "Meet me tonight. We need to talk." She could hear his smile. "The Peninsula Hotel Bar, 8:00. Don't keep me waiting." After hanging up, Amara called Sasha. "I need your help, and I need you to bring every recording device you own." "Now that's my girl," Sasha said, the grin evident in her voice. "What's the plan?" Amara looked at the rain-streaked windows, thinking of Declan in his office, fighting battles. She'd left him to face alone. "We're going to catch a snake," she said firmly, "and then we're going to crush him." The rest of the day passed, in a blur of preparation. By 7:30, Amara stood in front of her mirror, examining her appearance. She'd chosen a white power suit that made her dark skin glow, her braids arranged in an elegant updo. Her makeup was flawless, her expression determined. "Recording devices are set," Sasha said, adjusting the tiny microphone hidden in Amara's jewelry. "As soon as he admits to blackmail or threatening you, we've got him. And if he doesn't, then we go with Plan B." Sasha squeezed her hand. "Declan's pie is standing by. The moment Julian shows any aggression, any threat, they move in with the restraining order paperwork." Amara touched the delicate gold necklace. Declan had given her at dinner the night everything had changed. She hadn't taken it off since. "I should have fought harder," she whispered. "I should have trusted him. Then make it right." Sasha's expression was fierce. "Show him what you're made of." As her Uber pulled up to the peninsula, Amara's phone lit up with one final email from Declan. "The board meets in 15 hours. I'm about to lose everything I've built, but the only loss that matters is you. Whatever happens tomorrow, know that you were worth it." Amara squared her shoulders, slipping her phone into her clutch. She'd walked away once to protect Declan. Now she was walking into battle to save him. And this time, she wasn't backing down. The Peninsula Hotel's bar exuded old-world luxury, all dark wood and amber lighting. Amara felt the weight of eyes on her as she entered, her white suit a beacon in the dimly lit space. Julian was already there, lounging at a corner table like a spider in its web. "You always did know how to make an entrance," he said, standing as she approached. His smile was practiced, perfect, and completely cold. "Let's skip the pleasantries." Amara sat, declining his attempt to help with her chair. "Why are you really here, Julian?" He signaled the waitress, ordering scotch for himself, and she noticed with disgust her old favorite wine. He still remembered her preferences, still wielded that knowledge like a weapon. "I'll have sparkling water," she corrected firmly, "with lime." Something flickered in Julian's eyes, annoyance at the small defiance. "You've changed, baby. Chicago's made you hard." "No, Julian." Atlanta made me hard. You made me hard. She leaned forward slightly, the hidden microphone capturing every word. Now tell me what you want. Maybe I just missed you. He reached for her hand, but she pulled back. We were good together once, Amara. Before you let success go to your head, started thinking you were too good for me. You mean before I stopped letting you control me? Before I discovered you were manipulating my clients, sabotaging my deals? His smile tightened. Ancient history. I've changed. Got help, like I said. Really? Amara pulled out her phone, pulling up one of the recent articles. Is that why you're feeding lies to the press? Trying to destroy my reputation again? I'm protecting you. His voice took on that concerned tone she remembered too well. This Voss guy, he's bad news, Amara. Just like his father. You think what happened with his ex-fiancée was one-sided? Trust me, there's more to that story. The drinks arrived, creating a momentary pause. Amara used it to study Julian, really study him. The expensive suit. The Rolex she knew he couldn't afford on a suspended realtor's salary. The confident smirk of someone who thought he held all the cards. How much did they pay you? She asked quietly. His expression didn't change, but his fingers tightened on his glass. I don't know what. Declan's competitors. How much did they pay you to come here? Stir up scandal. Make him look unstable. A low chuckle escaped him. Always so clever. It's what I loved about you. He took a slow sip of scotch. But you're thinking too small. Why settle for a one-time payoff when you can play a longer game? What do you mean? Join me, Amara. Together, we could take him for millions. The evidence I have, the stories I could tell, his board's already on edge. One more push, and they'll force him out. In the chaos, the stock will plummet. His eyes gleamed. But if someone had advanced knowledge of that happening, insider trading, the words felt bitter on her tongue. That's what this is about. Think bigger. With your real estate expertise and my connections, we could buy up prime properties for pennies on the dollar when Voss Tech crashes. Their development projects will be up for grabs. The depth of his scheme stunned her. This wasn't just about revenge or control. This was calculated destruction for profit. And if I say no? Julian's smile turned predatory. Then tomorrow's headlines get much worse. I have friends at every major business publication. One word from me, and your past becomes very, very public. Every client you've ever had will know exactly what kind of person you really are. You mean what kind of person you tried to make me? Amara's voice was steady despite her racing heart. The woman you isolated from her friends. The one you gaslighted until she doubted her own judgment. The successful agent you tried to destroy because you couldn't stand her outshining you. Careful, baby. His tone carried a warning. You're not the only one I can hurt. Your friend Sasha's new fashion line is taking off, isn't it? Be a shame if someone started questioning her business practices. And Declan, well, his father's old scandals are just waiting to be dug up. Amara's hand trembled as she reached for her water. The ice clinked against the glass, the sound seeming to echo in the suddenly too warm space. You're right about one thing, she said softly. I have changed. Before he could respond, she stood, addressing the seemingly empty air. Did you get all that? The bar's ambient noise suddenly died, as hidden speakers crackled to life, singing back Julian's threats in his own voice. Around the room, several distinguished-looking patrons, who Amara now recognized as Declan's security team, stood up, phones and recording devices in hand. Julian's face drained of color. You buy. The SEC has been monitoring this conversation. A stern voice interrupted. A federal agent stepped forward from the bar, badge in hand. Mr. Hayes, we have some questions about your insider trading plans. As the agent moved toward their table, Julian lunged for Amara. You ruined everything. But before he could reach her, a powerful hand grabbed his shoulder. Declan stepped out of the shadows, his expression thunderous. Touch her, and the fraud charges will be the least of your concerns. Security swarmed in, quickly and quietly removing Julian from the premises. The other hotel patrons, carefully selected plants from Declan's team, resumed their normal activities as if nothing had happened. Amara stood frozen, the adrenaline leaving her system in a rush. Declan moved toward her slowly, as if afraid she might bolt. Sasha called me, he said quietly. Told me what you were planning. Did you really think I'd let you face him alone? I needed to do this myself. Her voice shook slightly. To prove I could. I know. He reached for her hand, and this time she didn't pull away. But you never had to prove anything to me. The warmth of his touch grounded her, bringing everything into sharp focus. The past week of separation, the pain of pushing him away, the fear of letting herself be vulnerable It all seemed foolish now. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I thought I was protecting you by leaving." "You protected me by coming back." Declan's free hand came up to cup her cheek. "The board meeting tomorrow, they won't have anything to vote on. The SEC's investigation into Julian's conspiracy will clear my name. And yours." Amara leaned into his touch, feeling tears threaten. "I almost lost you." "Never." His voice was fierce. "I told you, you're worth fighting for, worth waiting for." Around them, the bar had emptied, except for Sasha, who stood by the entrance with a triumphant grin. The hidden microphone crackled one last time before going silent. "It's job done." "Take me home," Amara said softly, looking up into Declan's blue-gray eyes. "Your place or mine?" She smiled, feeling truly free for the first time in weeks. "That lake house of yours. I never did get to see the sunset from that deck." Declan's answering smile was everything relief, joy, love, and promise all wrapped into one. As they left the hotel, his arm protective around her waist, Amara felt the last shadows of her past finally beginning to fade. But in the darkness outside, a figure watched their departure with calculating eyes. Julian might have been neutralized, but he wasn't the only one with an interest in seeing Declan Voss fall. The real threat was still to come. Sunset painted the lake in shades of gold and crimson as Amara stood on the deck of Declan's lake house, wrapped in one of his cashmere sweaters. 2 weeks had passed since the confrontation with Julian, and life had taken on a dreamlike quality she almost didn't dare trust. "Penny for your thoughts?" Declan's deep voice accompanied the soft click of the deck door. He carried 2 steaming mugs, the rich aroma of fresh coffee filling the air. "Just thinking about how quiet it is up here." She accepted the mug, breathing in the familiar caramel notes he'd started keeping stocked just for her. No reporters, no scandal, no drama. Disappointed? He stepped behind her, his free arm wrapping around her waist. The simple intimacy of the gesture still made her heart skip. "Relieved," she corrected, leaning back against his chest. "Though my real estate business could use some drama, the good kind." Since Julian's arrest, the media storm had died down. The second investigation had cleared both Declan's and Amara's names, revealing a complex conspiracy involving one of Vostech's main competitors. Declan's board had issued a public apology for doubting his judgment, but mud, once thrown, left stains. About that, Declan's tone made her turn to face him. "I've been meaning to show you something." He led her inside to his home office, where his laptop displayed property listings, dozens of them, all high-end developments around Chicago. "Vostech is launching a new division," he explained, pulling up detailed plans. "Smart homes integrated with our latest AI technology. We need a real estate partner who understands both luxury properties and innovative technology, someone who can bridge the gap between old money and new vision." Amara's coffee nearly slipped from her grip as she realized what he was suggesting. "Declan, this isn't charity," he said quickly, reading her expression. "Look at the numbers. Your market analysis was spot on. There's a huge untapped potential in combining traditional luxury real estate with cutting-edge tech. You saw it before anyone else." She studied the proposals, her professional instincts kicking in despite her reservations. "The concept was brilliant, revolutionary even. But people will talk," she said softly. "They'll say I'm using you, just like Julian claimed. Let them talk." Declan turned her to face him, his blue-gray eyes intense. "You earned this opportunity long before you met me. Your business plan proved that." Before she could respond, both their phones buzzed simultaneously. Declan reached his first, his expression darkening as he read the screen. "Turn on the news," he said quietly. Amara grabbed the remote, switching on the office's wall-mounted TV. The business news channel was running a breaking story. Vostech's new smart home initiative faces criticism amid allegations of patent infringement. Sources claim the technology was stolen from a rival company during a recent security breach. "That's impossible," Declan muttered, already dialing numbers. "Our security is airtight since the last breach." Amara's phone buzzed again, a text from Sasha. "Check your email now." The message in her inbox made her blood run cold. It was from an anonymous source, containing security camera footage from Vostech offices. The timestamp showed last week, late at night. The figure entering the secure server room wore a maintenance uniform, but their movements were practiced, professional. "Declan," her voice shook slightly, "I know who did this." He looked up from his phone calls, concern etching his features. "What do you mean?" "The way they move, The confidence, I've seen it before. She played the video again, focusing on the intruder's distinctive gait. That's Nadia, your ex-fiancée. Declan went still, his expression unreadable. That's impossible. She's in Europe. Has been since she sold my secrets the first time. Amara moved closer, touching his arm gently. Think about it, the timing. Right when we announced the Smart Home Initiative, the precise target of the attack. She knows your systems, your security protocols. If you're right, he ran a hand over his face, suddenly looking tired. This is worse than last time. Patent infringement allegations could tank the whole project before it begins. Amara's mind raced, pieces clicking into place. The maintenance uniform that had to come from inside. Someone let her in, gave her access. Declan's phone rang again, his head of security. As he answered, Amara moved to the window, watching storm clouds gather over the lake. Something about this felt too convenient, too perfectly timed. Security confirms the breach, Declan said after hanging up, but they can't prove it was Nadia. The footage is too grainy for facial recognition. We need to think like her. Amara turned back to him. Last time, she sold the information to your competitors. But this time she took it herself. Declan finished, which means she's working directly with someone who wants to destroy me, not just profit from my fall. Amara's real estate instincts kicked in. The Smart Home Initiative, which of your competitors stands to lose the most if it succeeds? Declan's eyes lit with understanding. He moved to his laptop, pulling up market research, peak tech. They've been developing similar technology, but they're at least 2 years behind us. If we launch first, they lose everything. Amara finished, and their CEO, Victor Pierce, was romantically linked to Nadia 6 months ago. Declan's expression hardened. It wasn't just a coincidence. She was positioning herself all along. Thunder rumbled outside as rain began to fall, matching the growing tension in the room. Declan's phone buzzed with another call, his PR team, probably wanting to know how to handle the growing crisis. But before he could answer, Amara's screen lit up with an incoming text from an unknown number. The message contained only an image, a photo of her and Declan at dinner last week, clearly taken without their knowledge. With a single line of text, ready for round 2? This time you both fall. Declan read the message over her shoulder, his body tensing. I won't let her hurt you. No, Amara said firmly, turning to face him. We won't let her hurt us. Not this time. She thought about everything they'd overcome: Julian's manipulation, the media scandal, their own fears and doubts. They were stronger together than apart. What's your plan? Declan asked, recognizing the determination in her eyes. You said Nadia likes to play games. Amara's smile held a dangerous edge. Then let's change the rules. Sasha's fashion show is next week, the biggest social event of the season. Every major tech and business figure in Chicago will be there, including Victor Pierce. Declan added, catching on. And knowing Nadia, she won't be able to resist making an appearance, not when she thinks she has the upper hand. Amara moved to the desk, already formulating strategies. But this time, we'll be ready. Outside, lightning split the sky, illuminating their reflection in the window. Declan, tall and powerful, Amara, fierce and determined. They made quite a team, she realized. Perhaps that's what their enemies feared most. One condition, Declan said softly, pulling her close. We do this together. No more pushing me away to protect me. Amara reached up, tracing the strong line of his jaw. Together, she agreed. Always. As they began planning their countermove, the storm raged outside. But inside, in the warmth of Declan's embrace, Amara felt nothing but certainty. They'd faced down their past demons separately. Now it was time to face their future battles as one. Little did they know, Nadia's revenge plot was more intricate than they imagined. And she wasn't working alone. In a penthouse across the city, she sat with Victor Pierce, reviewing their own plans. They took the bait, she said, looking at the surveillance feeds from Declan's lake house. Everything's falling into place. Victor smiled, raising his glass in a mock toast. By this time next week, Declan Voss will lose everything. And this time, there won't be any comes back. Lightning flashed again, casting dramatic shadows across their satisfied smiles. The real game was just beginning. The week leading up to Sasha's fashion show passed in a whirlwind of preparation. Amara stood in her friend's downtown studio, surrounded by racks of cutting-edge designs and the controlled chaos of last-minute alterations. Are you sure about this? Sasha asked, pinning the hem of a stunning silver gown that seemed to flow like liquid metal around Amara's curves. Using my show as bait is risky. If anything goes wrong, it won't. Amara met her friend's eyes in the mirror. Declan's security team has everything covered. And this is bigger than just your show. It's about stopping Nadia before she can hurt anyone else. Sasha straightened, adjusting the dress's intricate back detail. Speaking of your man, he's been calling every hour to check on security arrangements. I've never seen someone so protective. Amara smiled softly. In love, Sasha corrected. He looks at you like you hung the moon, girl, even when you're plotting corporate espionage together. Before Amara could respond, her phone buzzed with a message from Declan. Meeting with the board finished. They're behind us 100%. Dinner tonight. Her heart warmed at the simple message. Despite the chaos of the past week, dealing with the patent allegations, strengthening company security, preparing their trap, Declan had made sure they spent every evening together, sometimes working, sometimes just being. Tell Loverboy you'll see him at the rehearsal dinner. Sasha interrupted her thoughts. Tonight, you're all mine. We need to perfect this dress and go over the final details. The plan was intricate but elegant in its simplicity. Sasha's show would feature a groundbreaking integration of fashion and technology, a collaboration between her design house and Voss Tech. The perfect bait for both Nadia and Victor Pierce. Latest intel confirms they took the bait. Declan's head of security had reported that morning. Pierce RSVP'd personally, and there's been unusual activity around his private accounts, large transfers, encrypted communications. They're planning something big, Declan had mused. His fingers intertwined with Amara's under the conference table. Something at the show. Now, standing in Sasha's studio as the sun set over Chicago, Amara felt a calm settling into her bones, the dangerous serenity that came before a storm. Her phone buzzed again, this time with a message that made her blood run cold. An anonymous text with a single image, her and Declan at the lake house, clearly taken with a long-range lens, with the caption, "Enjoy it while it lasts." "Sasha," she called out, her voice steady despite her racing heart. "I need to make a call." In the studio's private office, Amara dialed Declan. He answered on the first ring. "They're watching us," she said without preamble. "At the lake house. Somehow they got past your security." A pause, then his voice tight with controlled anger. "I'm having the property swept now." "Are you safe?" "I'm with Sasha. Your security team is outside." She took a deep breath. "Declan, what if we're playing right into their hands? What if the show is just a distraction? Then we'll handle whatever they throw at us together." The conviction in his voice steadied her. "I had my team do some deeper digging into Peak Tech. Their finances are shakier than anyone realizes. They're not just trying to steal our technology. They're desperate for it. Desperate people are dangerous. So are people in love." His tone softened. "Stay at my place tonight. The penthouse security is better, and I need you close." The vulnerability in those last words touched her deeply. "Okay. But first, I have to help Sasha with final preparations. I'll see you at home." "Home." The word slipped out naturally, and neither of them commented on it. Somehow, in the midst of all this chaos, they'd built something real, something worth fighting for. Hours later, as Amara directed the setup of security cameras disguised as lighting equipment, Sasha appeared at her side. "Incoming," her friend whispered. Pierce's assistant just arrived for the final venue check. Amara turned to see a sleek woman in her 30s, tablet in hand, speaking with the event coordinator. Something about her movements seemed familiar. That's not his assistant, Amara realized. That's Nadia. The woman must have felt their gaze. She turned slightly, and for a moment, her carefully constructed mask slipped. The look she gave. Amara was pure venom. Amara held her ground, letting her own mask fall just enough to show Nadia one clear message: "I'm not afraid of you." Later that night, in Declan's penthouse, Amara recounted the encounter as they stood on his private terrace. The city sparkled below them, a carpet of light stretching to the horizon. "She's gotten bolder," Declan observed, his arms wrapped around Amara from behind. "Or more desperate. Both." Amara leaned back against his chest, drawing strength from his solid presence. "Did you see the financial records your team uncovered? Peak Tech is leveraged to the hilt. They've bet everything on beating us to market with smart home technology." His lips brushed her temple. "If we launch first, they collapse. And Nadia loses her golden parachute." Amara turned in his arms to face him. "You know tomorrow's going to change everything, right? Win or lose." Declan's blue-gray eyes held hers with an intensity that took her breath away. Some things won't change. His hand came up to cup her cheek, thumb brushing over her skin in a tender gesture that had become wonderfully familiar. Amara reached up, tracing the strong line of his jaw, the subtle worry lines around his eyes. "I love you," she said softly, the words falling from her lips like a long-held secret, finally set free. "Whatever happens tomorrow, I need you to know that." For a moment, Declan went completely still. Then his lips curved into a smile, more brilliant than all the city lights combined. "Say it again," he whispered, drawing her closer. "I love you, Declan Voss." His kiss was fierce and tender, all at once a promise and a claiming. When they finally parted, his eyes shone with an emotion that made her heart skip. "I love you too," he breathed against her lips. "More than I ever thought possible." They stayed on the terrace late into the night, planning, loving, and simply being together. Below them, Chicago hummed with life and possibility. And somewhere in that vast cityscape, their enemies plotted and schemed, unaware that their own desperate gambit was about to backfire spectacularly. As Amara finally drifted to sleep in Declan's arms, her last thought was of Sasha's words, "He looks at you like you hung the moon." No, she realized. He looked at her like she was the moon and stars, and all the spaces in between, like she was everything he'd been searching for without knowing it. Tomorrow would bring its battles and revelations, but tonight, in this moment, she was exactly where she needed to be. Unfortunately, so were their enemies. In a private club across town, Nadia sat with Victor Pierce, finalizing their own plans for the show. "Everything's in place," she confirmed, sliding a tablet across the table. "By this time tomorrow, Declan Voss won't just lose his company, he'll lose everything he loves." Pierce studied the plans with a cold smile. "And Amara Thompson? Don't worry about her." Nadia's eyes glittered with malice. "I have something special planned for Declan's new love." After all, history has a way of repeating itself. Outside, Chicago's night sky was cloudless, stars twinkling innocently above. The calm before the storm was about to end, and no one, not Declan, not Amara, not even Nadia and Pierce, could predict exactly how tomorrow's fashion show would change all their lives forever. The Chicago Museum of Contemporary Art had been transformed for Sasha's fashion show. Sleek runways intersected the grand space, while cutting-edge lighting systems carefully concealing. Declan's security cameras created an atmosphere of futuristic elegance. Amara stood backstage, her silver gown catching the light like liquid moonlight. Around her, models rushed to and fro, makeup artists made final touches, and Sasha directed it all like a conductor leading an orchestra. Security team confirms Pierce just arrived. Declan's voice came through her hidden earpiece. "Nadia's with him." "Any signs of what they're planning?" Amara kept her voice low, pretending to check her phone. "Nothing yet, but my team intercepted some encrypted communications. Whatever it is, it's happening during the tech demonstration." The tech demonstration was the show's centerpiece: models, wearing Sasha's designs integrated with Vostech's revolutionary smart fabric technology. It was also their most vulnerable moment, when both the fashion designs and the proprietary tech would be most exposed. "I've got eyes on Nadia," Sasha cut in through the comm system. "She's trying very hard to look inconspicuous near the main control panel." Amara's pulse quickened, the same panel controlling the smart fabric demonstrations. "Exactly." Declan's voice was grim. "I'm heading there now." "No." Amara moved toward the VIP section, where she had a clear view of both the runway and the control area. "Stay where you are." Let her make the first move. The lights dimmed, signaling the show's beginning. Sasha's collection was a triumph, bold designs flowing seamlessly into the technology integration segment. Amara watched as each piece demonstrated the smart fabric's capabilities, transforming colors and patterns on command. Then she saw Nadia's subtle movement toward the control panel, a small device sliding from her sleeve. "She's going to override the system," Declan warned in her ear. "If she uploads their virus during the final demonstration, the smart fabric will malfunction spectacularly." In front of every major tech reporter in Chicago, Amara finished. "Not just malfunction," Sasha's voice was tight. "The fabrics are synchronized. If one piece fails, they all fail." Amara's mind raced. "And Peak Tech announces their superior technology tomorrow morning." She scanned the crowd, finding Victor Pierce in the front row. His satisfied smirk confirmed their theory. But something wasn't right. He seemed too confident, too relaxed for someone about to commit corporate sabotage. That's when she saw the second device in Nadia's hand. "Declan," she whispered urgently. "It's not just about the technology. Check the market activity on Vostech stock." A moment of silence, then massive short positions being taken. "Pierce is betting everything on our stock crashing, which means the virus isn't meant to just embarrass, it's meant to destroy the company completely." Declan's voice hardened. "The code must be worse than we thought." The final segment was approaching the moment when all the smart fabric pieces would synchronize in a spectacular display. Nadia's fingers moved over her device, ready to strike. Amara made her decision. "Sasha, kill the power to the control panel. That'll stop the whole show. Better than letting them win." Amara started moving through the crowd. "Declan, get your security team ready. When the lights go out—" She never finished the sentence. Instead of the panel going dark, every screen in the venue suddenly lit up with scrolling code. Nadia's triumphant smile turned to confusion as her device sparked and died. "What's happening?" Sasha demanded. Declan's laugh was both relieved and proud. She took the bait. That virus she just tried to upload it was designed to trace back to its source. "My team just got access to Peak Tech's entire server network." Nadia must have realized something was wrong. She turned to flee, only to find herself face to face with Amara. "Going somewhere?" Amara's voice carried in the sudden hush. "You don't understand," Nadia hissed. "Pierce will destroy everything. He has proof that Declan's father what?" A new voice cut through the tension. Eleanor Voss emerged from the crowd, elegant and dangerous as a steel blade. That he rejected Pierce's attempt to steal his company 20 years ago? That Pierce has been plotting revenge ever since? Nadia's face went pale. In the front row, Pierce stood abruptly, heading for the exit. He didn't make it 3 steps before security blocked his path. "The SEC is very interested in those short positions you just took," Declan said. "Joining them, not to mention the evidence of corporate espionage we just downloaded from your servers." "You can't prove anything," Pierce snarled. "Actually," Sasha chimed in, tablet in hand, "my security cameras caught everything, including that little device your partner just tried to use. I'm thinking the morning news shows will be very interested in this footage." Amara felt a fierce satisfaction as she watched security lead both Nadia and Pierce away. The show continued seamlessly, the tech demonstration a stunning success, but something still nagged at her. "Declan," she said quietly, "what did Nadia mean about your father?" His expression darkened. "Pierce didn't just try to steal the company. He was responsible for my father's accident, the one that forced him to retire. We could never prove it, but now you can." Amara squeezed his hand. "Your team found evidence in their servers. Everything." His voice was thick with emotion. 20 years of plotting, all laid bare. Pierce didn't just want to destroy me. He wanted to finish what he started with my father. The fashion show reached its spectacular finale, Sasha's designs drawing gasps and applause. But Amara's attention was on Declan, seeing the weight of decades lifting from his shoulders. "It's over," she said softly. "Really over." He pulled her close, not caring who saw. "No," he murmured against her hair. "It's just beginning." Later, as the after-party wound down, Amara stood on the museum's rooftop terrace. The city sparkled below, full of promise and possibility. Declan found her there, 2 glasses of champagne in hand. "To new beginnings," he offered, passing her a glass. "To us," she corrected, clinking her glass against his. "And to finally being free of our ghosts." He set his glass down, turning to face her fully. The look in his eyes made her breath catch. "Marry me." The words hung in the night air, stunning in their simplicity, no elaborate setup, no dramatic gestures, just pure, honest love. "Declan, I know it's fast," he continued, taking her hands in his. "I know we've barely begun, but I also know that I never want to face another day without you by my side. You make me stronger, better more than I ever thought I could be." Tears pricked at Amara's eyes as she looked up at this man who had crashed into her life because of a switched bag and changed everything. But before she could answer, a shot rang out in the night air, and everything went black. Time seemed to slow as Amara felt Declan's arms wrap around her, pulling her down to the terrace floor. Security swarmed the rooftop, their voices sharp with urgency. In the chaos that followed the shot, Declan, her heart raced as she felt him tense against her. "Are you—" "I'm fine," he assured her, though his voice was strained. "But we need to move now." They crawled behind a decorative wall as more shots rang out. Through her earpiece, she could hear Sasha coordinating with security from inside the building. Shooter's position identified. A security officer reported. Northwest building, approximately 30 floors up. Teams moving to intercept. This doesn't make sense, Amara whispered as they huddled together. Pierce and Nadia are in custody. Pierce's personal security chief, Declan growled, recognition dawning in his eyes. He was more than just a bodyguard. He was the one who arranged my father's accident. Another shot pinged off the wall near them, sending fragments of concrete flying. Declan's body tensed, shielding her from the debris. "We have to get inside," he urged, scanning for an opening. But the door to the terrace was exposed. Any movement would make them perfect targets. They were pinned down with only a decorative wall between them and the sniper. Aimed targets moving. The security team's chatter crackled through their earpieces. "He's rappelling down the building." Amara's mind raced. The shooter was mobile, which meant he's not trying to kill us. Declan looked at her sharply. "What? Think about it." A professional like that, he could have taken the shot clean. Instead, he's keeping us pinned here. But why? The answer hit them both at the same moment. Declan reached for his phone, fingers flying over the screen. "The stock market opens in Hong Kong in 10 minutes, he said grimly. "If Vostech CEO is reported shot, the stock crashes before anyone can verify I'm alive." Pierce's final backup plan, Amara finished. Declan was already sending commands through his phone, initiating emergency protocols. "My team can freeze our Asian market trading for 1 hour, citing technical issues." "That gives us..." More gunfire interrupted him, closer this time. The shooter was working his way down, maintaining suppressing fire to keep them trapped. "We need a distraction," Amara said. Her real estate agent knowledge of Chicago's architecture suddenly proved useful. "That building, I showed a penthouse there last month. The window washing rig is on the west side, meaning he can only rappel down the east face." Declan caught on. "Which means he's committed to his path. Can't change position without exposing himself." Declan relayed the information to his security team. Within moments, they had a plan. "On my mark," the team leader's voice came through their earpieces. 3, 2, 1. Suddenly, every light on the museum's rooftop terrace blazed to life, while the surrounding buildings went dark. In that moment of blindness, as the shooter's night vision was ruined, Declan and Amara made their break for the door. They burst into the top floor of the museum, just as security teams converged on the shooter's position. Through the windows, they could see the man dangling from his rappelling gear, caught in the spotlights like an actor on a stage. "Target acquired," the security team reported. "Building security has him contained. CPD is on scene." Declan pulled Amara close, his heart pounding against her cheek. "Are you okay?" She nodded, then pulled back to look at him properly. "Your arm..." A graze wound bled through his sleeve, not serious, but evidence of how close the bullets had come. "It's nothing," he insisted, but allowed her to inspect it. "Oh, it's just a scratch, Declan Voss," she scolded, tears and laughter mixing in her voice. "If you think I'm going to let you die before I can answer your proposal, you're crazy." He went still. "My proposal? Amara, we don't have to." "Yes, what?" She reached up, cupping his face in her hands. "Yes, I'll marry you. Because life's too short for fear. Because you make me braver, stronger more than I ever thought I could be. Because I love you, and I'm tired of letting the past dictate our future." The smile that broke across his face was brighter than all the spotlights combined. He pulled her into a kiss that tasted of adrenaline, and promise, and forever, heedless of the chaos around them. "Well, thank God for that." Sasha's voice broke in through their earpieces. "Now, can you two lovebirds get down here? The press is going crazy, and we need to make a statement before the Asian markets open." They laughed, the tension of the night finally breaking. Hand in hand, they made their way down to face the media circus that awaited. The next hours passed in a blur of police statements, press conferences, and strategic business moves. By the time the Asian markets opened, the truth was out. Declan Voss was very much alive. The assassination attempt had failed, and Pierce's entire conspiracy had been exposed. Vostech stock didn't just survive its soared. The publicity around the smart fabric technology, combined with the dramatic events of the evening, created a perfect storm of public interest. By morning, their market value had doubled. 1 month later, Amara stood in the same train station where their story had begun. The morning sun streamed through the windows, catching the diamond on her left hand, a simple but stunning ring that Declan had given her properly the day after the rooftop drama. "Ready?" Declan appeared at her side, carrying both their bags, carefully checked to ensure they had the right ones this time. She smiled, taking his hand. They were heading to the lake house for the weekend, their first real break since the fashion show chaos. Sasha's designs were now the talk of the fashion world. The smart fabric technology was revolutionizing the industry, and Amara's new real estate venture, specializing in high-tech luxury properties, was taking off. "You know," she said as they walked to their platform, "I never did thank you for going through my luggage that night." He laughed, pulling her close. "Best invasion of privacy I ever committed. Just don't make a habit of it. No need." He kissed her softly. "I've got everything I want right here." As their train pulled away from the station, Amara looked back at the spot where a simple switched bag had changed her life. Sometimes the biggest changes came from the smallest moments. Sometimes love arrived in unexpected packages. And sometimes, if you were brave enough to trust it, destiny had a way of finding you even in a crowded train station on an ordinary Tuesday morning. 1 year later, the Chicago skyline glittered in the late afternoon sun as Amara Voss stood in her new office, adjusting the frame of her recently acquired real estate broker's license. Thompson Voss Innovations. The gold lettering on her door proclaimed a perfect fusion of her dreams and the technology that had brought her and Declan together. "Everything has to be perfect for tomorrow's opening," she muttered, straightening the frame one final time. "It already is perfect," Sasha's voice came from the doorway. Her best friend, now a celebrated fashion designer, leaned against the frame with a knowing smile. "Just like your wedding was perfect, even when the smart fabric bridesmaid dresses started changing colors during the ceremony." Amara laughed at the memory. The unexpected color show had become one of the most talked about moments of the society wedding, with fashion magazines hailing it as revolutionary. The fact that it had been caused by Declan's nervous fiddling with the control tablet only made it more endearing. "Speaking of my husband," Amara checked her watch. "He should be back from New York by now." As if on cue, the elevator dinged, and Declan's familiar footsteps approached. He appeared in the doorway, looking devastatingly handsome in his tailored suit, his blue-gray eyes lighting up at the sight of her. "The board approved everything," he announced, sweeping her into his arms. "The smart home division is officially yours to lead." Sasha slipped out quietly as Declan pulled Amara close for a kiss that still made her heart race, even after a year of marriage. "I have something to tell you too," Amara said when they finally parted. She took his hand, placing it gently on her stomach. "We're going to need to add a nursery to that lake house of yours." The joy that spread across Declan's face was brighter than any Chicago sunset. As he pulled her close again, whispering promises and plans against her hair, Amara smiled. Sometimes the greatest love stories started with a simple mistake, like a switched bag in a crowded train station. And sometimes they led to something even more beautiful than you could have imagined. The end. Based on the emotional journey of Lost and Found, Destiny Between Us, here's an interesting question. If you were in Amara's shoes, would you have trusted Declan even after discovering his past with Nadia? Or would you have let your own fears because of Julian stop you from giving in to love? What would you do differently in this love story that began with a simple exchange of suitcases? Your opinion matters. Share your thoughts below. Thank you so much for staying until the end. We'll see you next time.